Well, hey there everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Adam, thanks for hanging out with me again today. And on today's video, we're going to be building a chassis that I have not built yet, which is exciting. And I know there's some of you out there that are screaming into the monitor or cell phone or whatever you're watching this on, going, Adam, you haven't shown us the Hilux yet. I know, it's coming. It rained literally all day Saturday, 24 hours of rain, nasty, yucky, couldn't go out and do anything. I did get it finished up, it's ready to go. Just couldn't, I didn't want to take it outside. Same thing Sunday. Rainy, cold, windy, everything was soaking wet. I just did not want to go out in it, and it was going to make for terrible video with all the wind. So that will come up, that'll probably be coming up Saturday. So for today, we are going to build the Alfa Romeo Giulia. I can't not say it that way anymore. I heard Phil from Poor Boars RC call it the Giulia, and you know, it's what it's going to be. So I'm also going to call it the Italian Herbie, you know, Herberto. It looks like an Italian Herbie. Looks like their version of it. So it's a very cool little car. You know, when I saw this, when the Fiat came out, I wanted nothing to do with it. I'm not a fan of that body. I don't have any love for Fiats. They're just not a thing for me. But when this came out with this body, it just looks fun. So I'm really, really hoping that they bring out a classic Mini on this chassis. I will buy that. I will buy two of those. One's going to be a Mr. Bean car right away, and then the second one will actually be a fun runner. So if you guys aren't familiar with this chassis, this is the MB-01, and this is kind of the Swiss Army knife that Tamiya has come out with of what's going to fit on road chassis. It has 3 different links you can make it, and it has multiple drivetrain configurations. I'll have to cheat and look at the box. So it can be a 210, 225, and 239 millimeter length of wheelbase. So you have a small, a medium, and a large wheelbase. Well, let's get back down here. It's small, medium, large. And then it can be a rear or mid-engine rear wheel drive, or a front engine front wheel drive, or I believe you can do a front engine rear wheel drive, I think. I don't know. It's crazy on how many different configurations you can actually make with this. For this kit, this is the medium length, which is the standard build in the manual, and then it is going to be the rear engine rear wheel drive. And they have 2 different setups for that. You can do the motor's off to the side, so it's a low motor, or you can rotate it and turn the motor upwards and have a high center one. And I'm building it as the manual shows, and I believe it is the low center gravity motor rear wheel drive setup. So that's how we're going to build it. I'm going to build it bone stock. I don't have oil filled shocks for this, but I'm probably going to get it. It takes the Super Mini shock set. So item 50746. The one upgrade I am doing to this is the low friction pivot balls for the TT02. They're steel pivot balls instead of the little plastic ones. From what I've heard, it has a good bit of slop in it, and those are one thing that helps get rid of some of that slop. There's also a high torque servo saver you can put in there. I'm not putting that in, just using stock. And then obviously recommend bearings. There's 2 1280 bearings. There's 2 12 1050 bearings, and then you also can use 4 of the 850 bearings in the steering rack. So a bearing kit, or those bearings, if you have them on hand like I do, will definitely improve the performance of the kit. 1050s are not as common. It's usually 1150s in most of the kits. 850s go in a ton of different kits. Usually there's 1 or 2, but they're the common size of the bushings for most steering racks. So a lot of guys will have those on hand. And in 1280, that's a bit different size. So you may, for this, it may be better off getting, you know, a bearing kit. But that is definitely a recommendation for any Tamiya kit, is to get rid of those plastic bushings and put some bearings in there. But anyway, we're going to get this kit built. I'm not going to go through an unboxing. There's plenty of that stuff out there. We'll get it laid out on the bench, kind of give it a once over, and then I'm going to get to building it. As usual, it's just going to be a photo montage of the builds, and I'm going to try to stitch it all together so it's each individual step of the build process, and we're going to go from start to finish, and I will come back shortly as soon as it's done. All right, we have the little tiny chassis all ready to go. So it's a compact little package. Hefty little guy, but a compact little package. And when you're looking at it, you're like, what's the front, what's the back? Well, that's kind of the point, because right now we have rear motor, rear wheel drive, but you basically switch out some parts, change up, you take the steering rack and this thing off, flip them around, flip your diff over, and now you have front wheel drive, front motor, front wheel drive. So this basically would change out this long rod here with a short rod here to change up the steering. But yes, this is totally designed to be a flip-flop, you know, build it one way or the other. Everything went in well. There were some quirks with the instructions that I want to clear up, but overall the build went great. I really didn't have any issues. Two things in the manual that are a bit confusing is basically you start building this piece up and getting, you know, the steering and all this stuff, and then this mount, and then these body posts are connected to the mount. So, you know, normally you would build this assembly and mount it, but you kind of build this assembly and then they jump into building this assembly for the rear, which is basically the lockouts, this plate, and then the motor mounts are attached to the plate. They're similar enough to where I got confused in the manual, and you know, I built this and said, okay, cool, we're done. Flip the page, and then there's two of these things, and I'm like, what the hell? There's not a ton of difference. Basically, the links back here have a 3mm gap in there, and the links on the front have a 1mm gap. They're built the identical same way otherwise, and then, you know, it's just this has the actual pivot for the steering mechanism, and back here is just lockout. So the other item in the instructions I didn't care for was, you know, you have, let's get your radio gear set up. And then, okay, install your radio gear. Well, they don't show you anywhere on here of how to run the wires. You know, and all of this, the wires are all just cut off and you don't know what you're doing. So, you know, typically when I'm building, I don't want a big spaghetti pile of wiring up here. So I basically got everything installed, and then I zip tied my wires together, you know, just to neaten up everything. You know, I got everything away from all the moving parts and, you know, everything I could see. Now this isn't installed yet, so you don't know exactly where it's going, but, you know, kind of eyeballing it, could get it right. And then you turn the page after you put the tires on for some reason, then they tell you where to put the wiring. And it just seems like they could have rearranged it somehow to not have, you know, if they want you to be specific on where the wiring is, put those two steps together. You could have technically said, put the tires on here and then mount the tires to this and then mount your instructions. Anyway, the last thing to rant about instructions is, Tamiya, stop putting your electronics into the manual. You don't sell your electronics anymore. This 1060 does not mount like your electronics do. I don't know. That's all the old kits, you know, I can forgive them for that. You know, they wrote those manuals years and years and years ago. There's no point in rewriting the manuals to show how to mount a ESC that doesn't mount into the normal plug configuration. They made this car to fit their electronics, but yet they don't send you those electronics anymore. As far as I know, they're not even making those electronics anymore. I thought that was kind of dumb, but, you know, otherwise, very cool little kit. I enjoyed it. The springs are a little bangy. You know, I'm not too worried about it. It's a little on-road car. It's not like I'm going to be taking it off jumps or anything, and it should be fine. I can put the little mini CVAs on here and get it done. Everything works well. So let me crank the radio on. So steering works nice. Now on my radio, I actually had to dial back the steering rate to 70% because any more than that, and it was binding when you turn. So if you turned at 100%, that's all the steering you get. Anything more than that with your steering is just putting stress on this servo saver and your servo and all the plastics up here. And you can actually see the plastic shifting just a tiny bit when you put that load on there. But, you know, it seems like it's going to be a pretty peppy little thing. Now, if you guys didn't see, I did put a Sport Tune motor in here. You can't see the sticker because I clocked it the wrong way, so now the sticker's on the bottom. Doesn't matter. I know it's in there, and it'll be more fun than the stock motor. I still need to do the body, so we've got a little bit more to do here. I do want to address the body. So this body looks fantastic. Very nice mold lines. They even have all the little detailed panel lines in here that stand out really well. This front end is delicate. And it's no fault of theirs to get this big draw out of a flat piece of Lexan is amazing. That you're able to get this much of an overhang and that much contour into that front end with all these details. I mean, that's just an incredible feat that they could actually draw that out. But it does make the Lexan on the front, especially this front little valance section all the way around, super paper thin. I mean, that's just paper thin. So I'm going to get it cut out. I'm going to get it painted in white, and then we're going to back the front end just with some shoe glue. I'm not going to put the drywall tape on there. I'm just going to put some shoe glue on there just so it's not paper thin back there. The back is a little bit better than the front. It's still fairly thin in spots, but that front end is just very soft. So I'm going to back that up with some shoe glue and stuff once we're done cutting the body out. The decal set, where the hell's that at? So the decal set, doesn't look terrible. It's a lot of this chrome window trim stuff that's going to be a pain in the ass, and I don't know how well it's going to stick, but we're going to put it on. The stripes should be fairly quick and simple, and it does come with the paint masks, so just cut them out, stick them on, and it's all white, so just spray the body. Now, you do have a chrome section for the grill, the side mirrors, and all these are the backers for the grill where you screw through. You basically paint all this matte black, and just the headlight buckets, this center section and that are chrome. So I'm not sure how I'm going to do that. I'll try to scuff up some of it so the paint will stick, but a lot of it, especially down on those little grids, I'm not gonna be able to get to, but hopefully if I scuff up that surface a little bit, the paint will stick to it a little bit more. If you guys don't know, painting over these chrome pieces is a gamble. Sometimes it seems like it sticks very well, and other times, you can almost take your fingernail and just scrape it right off. So we're gonna be careful about painting those. I did see in the manual to paint these mirrors, there's a little teeny tiny trim ring or a tiny little base to the mirror. And I mean, it is tiny. They say paint that black because it's basically the chrome mirror and then a little rubber seal between the mirror and the car. I don't think so. That's too tiny for me to worry about painting. I'm not even gonna worry about that. They're just gonna be chrome mirrors. The only other thing I'm worried about is the excessive play in this, and mine right now is pretty good. The steering seems to be pretty tight. You move this tire and this tire is moving, so there's not a ton of excess play in the front end. The rear does have some play just because of the way it's designed, because you don't have that fixed knuckles on here to where they can't move this direction. They're only allowed to move up and down. Basically, you have a front end and a front end, so you're just locking out the other front end to try to keep those tires straight. The one thing I did notice, and it's terrible on the front, but you have a lot of play in and out on these wheels. So in order to fix that, you can put some shims in behind the axle where the axle goes in through the bearings, or you can put shims in between the axle and the hex to take up that slop. So I'm going to do that on this. Basically, you just take the wheels off, slide a shim in, and tighten the wheels and the hexes back up. And as long as everything is moving and it gets rid of that slop, you're fine. If you put two in and it binds, you can't turn it. You can back off the wheel nut just a little bit. There's extra thread on here, so you can fine tune it. But if it's still binding, take one of them out and just leave one in there. I don't have any on hand, or I'd show you. I just had to order some more. So the ones I order and I've used them forever. They're made by Traxxas. The part number is 1985, and it is a PTFE coated wheel washer, basically is what they call it. It's just a little tiny shim that goes in there. It's got a PTFE coating on there, so it's nice and slick, so it doesn't wear on anything. And you can put 2, you can put 3 in there, and you can put however many you need in there. I get them off of Amazon. I'll put a link down below to the ones I ordered. You get like 100 for like $8. So I ordered those. I ordered new body washers. Again, there's like 100 in there for like $7 or something. And I'll put those on to keep the body from getting scratched up and rattling around. But yeah, that excessive slop is just a little too much to be acceptable there. You know, it's the whole buggy, you know, the whole car shifts side to side. But anyway, I'm not complaining about it at all. I think it's a really, really cool idea of what they've done to it and how they came about making, you know, 3 different wheelbases, 3 different, you know, motor drivetrain configurations, all in a teeny tiny little package like this. Now they also have the BT01, which is the bigger version. I'm getting that. That should be shipped out sometime this week. Just waiting for the car to actually arrive. So I'm getting the Supra that just came out on the BT01, and all it is a bigger version of this. You know, it's going to be, you know, an inch or 2 longer, a little bit wider version of this. So very cool. My hopes, you know, for on-road cars, I think this is a cool idea. I hope they continue making the other kits. I hope they just don't go to a one chassis fits all bodies type thing. Not that it's a bad thing necessarily, but for me, I love building. And, you know, I'm kind of done with the TT02. I'm tired of building TT02s. You know, it's still a relaxing build to be able to sit down and slap one together in an hour and a half on a rainy day. But, you know, you after you built 6 of them, you kind of like, and I want to build something else. So this, I was really excited about, to build something new. But, you know, if they're going to just be releasing all of their on-road cars on either the BT01 or the MB01 or the BT01 for the foreseeable decade, you know, I can definitely see folks getting very bored of building that same platform over and over and over again. I mean, at that point, buy the body set, put the decals on there, and just hang the body on the wall. You know, there's no point in having 15 of these things laying around. Well, you can't believe everything I say, I guess, but you know what I mean. Alright guys, enough talking for today. I hope everybody out there enjoyed the video. It's a quick one, just a quick little build montage. I will get this done. You know, I'll work on this. The Hilux is coming. I need a better, you know, better conditions to go out and actually run it around to finish off that video. And then again, we still have a whole pile of stuff coming. Anyway guys, everybody out there, you guys be happy, be healthy, be safe, and I will catch you on the next one. See you guys.